to get her up and running as well. Okay, so wonderful. Awesome. Okay, well, yesterday, there we go. There we go. No problem there. That's okay. I understand. Um, so yesterday we basically, so Benny, just kind of bring you up to speed yesterday. We basically covered everything like on the general platform. Just things that, the in-class lessons and the student lessons. We talked about the vocabulary practice, the lesson plans. I mean, we covered quite a bit actually yesterday. And Rita is brand new to Burlington, so we got her an account and she's going to be exploring that. But so as most of you probably Benny is she's my Burlington English ninja. She knows it inside and out. I mean, she probably has shown me things that I didn't even know about. So she's I feel like I'm in the aura of her presence here. So um oh gosh. So well, let's just go ahead and dive in and see what is going on. So before I start, okay, there we go. There's my screen. So Rita, did you have a chance I know you're super busy, but do you have any questions that are kind of like mulling around in your head after our little conversation yesterday? Anything you'd like to kind of revisit or questions?
Not yet, but I will.
Okay, okay, all right,
But
good
I did
deal.
register. I looked at it. I opened my account. So thank you. And
Perfect, perfect. And I'm probably going to use your account a little bit later to demo something. And I'm so glad that Benny is here because I need to bounce some ideas off of her as well, as far as the prepare for CASAS and the CASAS steps. So, but before we go into prepare for CASAS, I want to kind of revisit the module tests and go into that a little bit more in depth. Benny, I don't know if you assign any of the module tests to your students. Okay. But these module tests have always been there. They've always been in core, but in the worksheet form. So I'm just going to pop in here and just show you. So, okay, so I'm going to my in-class lessons here first. All right, so as we were talking yesterday, we have all of these different modules. So when you complete a module, get down to the very bottom right here. Some teachers like to assess to see if their students are absorbing the information. So what we have had in the past, and we still have this option, which I'm glad they did not do away with it, because I know some of our corrections programs will use the worksheets extensively. But in the worksheet section, there is a module test at the end of each module. And this is basically a worksheet, okay? And it just reiterates, it reviews everything that was covered within the module, okay? A nice, it's served its purpose and it still serves its purpose for those who prefer the worksheet. However, they bumped it up a scale and they said, okay, well, we're going to create an online module test. That's just one more component that is given to the students to expand their digital literacy. So the module tests, I'll go over to my skinny snowman and go down to tests. And right in here, we have our module tests. Okay, so let's see here. The one that I pulled up on the worksheet, it was personal information. Okay, I'm going to look at the personal information one for the module, the online one. Okay, let's just take a look at it. So as you can see, the students in the classroom, all right? Same questions, okay, on the reading portion. The only difference is now there is a listening portion and a life skills portion. Okay, 2 extra elements that can be given to the students. Now I have some teachers that they teach, they'll review with this, which is great. I would like it, and I've put in a request to the developers that they, the only option that a teacher has to show answers is just to click show answers, and it shows everything. Now, of course, depending on where the teacher is projecting it, if it's on a whiteboard or whatever, you can block some of these answers out and make it a whole class activity. But the listening portion, that is what has really been helping a lot of students and teachers getting ready for that listening portion of the test. Okay. So that is the content. Now, as far as assigning these, me personally, I would probably assign them as I do my students in the library. I assign them this test to do while they're in class with me, because I know that if I assign it for them, when they get home, a couple of different things are going to happen. They're either going to get help, which, I want to see exactly what they know, or they're not going to understand what to do and they're just not going to even do it. So I would assign it during class, but that's to each their own. Now, when you assign this, of course, you would just click on the test that you want. I would recommend doing it on the day of the assessment, okay? So the 25th, assign. And then get my little controls out of my way here. Okay, and you can select a class. And within that class, if you only want to select 1 student, 2 students, however you want to do it, that's totally fine. So I'm going to select Hercules, the release date. I want to have him do it like today. So you're actually going to it will start like within 5 minutes of when you click the release time, okay? Now you can also adjust the duration of this. So if you want it for 30 minutes, you can do that. You can extend it however long you want, okay? I've had teachers that would assign it for like tomorrow when they don't have class and then be due the next day. Well, that's fine, but then the students, they will take it in between that time period and they're like, well, where's my progress? How do I find out how I did? But as you can see in the red lettering right there, the scores will be released in progress at the time of the due date. So until that due date is done, they will not be able to see their progress, nor will the teacher, okay? So once you select your students, you just click save and it will be in their account ready to go. Now, let me show you what this looks like on the student side, okay? So I'm going to log into Hercules account, which is my demo student. Okay, there we go. And so here we go. And I've actually assigned a couple of them here. So here, he's going to have this drop down. He will click here to take the test. And it's already set up for him to do. Okay. Oops, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry. It was a different one I had set up for him. Oops. I'm gonna go back. Oh, here we go. Practice reading test. Okay. So then he'll just click on it and it'll be all ready to go. Okay. I'm gonna go back. That thing's not going right the way I want it to. All right. Now I'm gonna revisit this here in a little bit. So now, say hypothetically speaking that this test, that he's taken the test, he's done it, and so you're like, well, where do I find out how he did? Okay, the progress will show up in here. So I'm going to back out of this screen just to show you from the beginning, okay? So if I want to see how he did on his module test, I will click on test under the level that he is in or your student. You can click view. Oops, I'm sorry. I'll go back. I think an easier way would go into progress. Go into progress. I'm sorry. I was retracking there. So we're going to go into progress. Click tests. Okay. And so here, this is where you are going to see the module test that he took. Okay. So like right here, Hercules, this little I, it shows that he took the test. You click on that and it shows here, okay, he has not taken that test yet. Okay. So once he takes that test, you'll be able to see the score. But let's see here if Jiminy has not taken his yet either. I thought I had one that was already assigned. Thought I did. I wanted to show everybody what, let's do this. Okay, that is not working out the way I'd planned. Okay. Let's go a different route. I'm gonna go back to the progress like what we did yesterday. Go to tests. There we go. That's better. Okay. So here we have the 46% he did in low beginners. And this is where we can see how he did. Okay. I should have taken it from the beginning there. Sorry about that. Okay, so we go on to the 46%. Now, this is what has been a game changer for this test. Right here, you can see what he missed on that test. So if you click view test, here you can see that he struggled with the ones that are in red. All right, that really lends itself to some targeted instruction. Okay, and you can go to all areas and see where he struggled. Okay. All right, so let me reiterate that. I feel like I kind of took you down a rabbit hole and I took several different turns. So if you want to see how your students did on a module test, go to your Burlington Core, the squiggly line, top right-hand corner, click on tests, not test practice, but tests. And that is where you will be able to see the results of your scores. Okay. All right. Any questions about that? I don't know. Some teachers feel comfortable doing it in class. Some teachers prefer to use the worksheet. It's personal preference. It's just another tool that you can use to increase your students' digital literacy. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we're going to get into the fun part. Okay. So, Benny, can you answer for me? Does your account have, and I'm trying to remember, do you have the prepare for CASAS steps or just prepare? Okay, you do not. That's right, because we had that discussion, didn't we? Whether or not to switch from prepare for CASAS to CASAS steps. Okay, now for this, when Burlington came out with the new prepare for CASAS steps, we were told to ask either the state directors or each individual director of each program to see if their teachers wanted to switch to the new prepare for CASAS steps or stay with the old prepare for CASAS. Now, the old prepare for CASAS is like what you have on your account, Rita. So I'm going to log into your account real quick just to kind of demonstrate that, to show you the difference, so that we know what we're up against here. Okay, so the prepare for CASAS, this is what they're calling the old platform. Okay, so for right now, any program in Kentucky that has this, they have access to in-class lessons, okay? And they have levels A, B, and C. Unlike the new CASAS STEPS, which has 4 levels. And I'll show you that in a little bit, all right? And Benny, I know you know all of this, but I'm just kind of reiterating this for Rita. Okay, so with the old Prepare for CASAS, you have access to all of these in-class lessons, okay? And it looks like, and I'm letting you use, this is Allison's class. I think I explained that. And it looks like she's gone in and she has locked some of these, which is totally fine. So I'm just going to unlock one, but I will relock it just so you can get a bird's eye view what it looks like. So here, these are shorter in-class lessons that focus on a specific competency for the CASAS test. So if if you've administered the test, the Prepare for CASAS through Burlington for your students, and you notice that they need to focus on certain competencies, that's what these in-class lessons were designed to do, okay? Now, I'm going to lock that up before Allison finds it. And so, as you see, we have all of the different task areas. There's forms, task areas, stories, things like that, okay? Now, so you have those in-class lessons, and then you also have access to an actual practice test that you can do with your class, okay? Right here, a test practice. This is an actual test. I mean, it's not the actual test, but it's a practice test. Only has 3 levels. And then it has reading, listening, you can do in the practice mode or the test mode. And so the only difference between practice and test is that the practice does not have the timer versus the test does. And you can also target a specific competency if you want with this test. Now, this one in particular has 10 questions. A lot of teachers' programs will use this as a warm-up to get started at the beginning of class, which is great, okay? So in a nutshell, this is what the Prepare for CASAS looks like right now, what you guys have. Now, some programs, I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head. I think Joda Johnson's program, they have converted over to the new CASAS STEPS, and some other programs have too. The only thing is that once I show you this brand new CASAS STEPS, if you're like, yeah, I want that, there's no going back to the old Prepare for CASAS. Okay, once we get you out, I can't. Okay, that's what scared everybody. They're like, well, we don't want to lose our in-class lessons. We love our in-class lessons, which I totally get that. Spoiler alert, in the fall, Burlington is bringing back the in-class lessons with the toolbar, Benny Braddock. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me show you now what this Prepare for CASAS looks like, or the CASAS steps, I should say. Okay, I'm gonna get in my okay. All right, so now the new CASAS steps, it is located in the courses, and it is under exam preparation, and it's right here in Prepare for CASAS steps. Okay, let me just show you what now the test practice looks like. So as you can see here, now we have 4 levels, unlike the old one, which is 3. We have reading and listening still. The practice is still there. Same format. You can still dial up a specific competency if you want to, okay? But the questions have a little more rigor to them, a little more intense. There's a lot more involved, okay? So, with that being said, it's, yeah, a little bit more rigorous, okay? So again, if a teacher wanted to use this as a whole class instruction, this is the practice, and they get 2 tries, and then they can try again. And then if they don't get it right, then the right answer is shown, and then they move on. Okay, but again, this is just a practice for the whole class. Okay. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, what's the big deal? I don't see what's so much better, okay, about this. There's several things that are really nice about this. And so one of the things is the way that you can track the progress on this new Prepare for CASAS steps versus the old Prepare for CASAS. So let me show you what that looks like. So in the class progress, okay, it looks a little differently than the old one. The only difference, is we have this new tab right here, the skill reports. So just like in the old the old Prepare for CASAS, you can go in and you can see how your students did. You can click on the score, see the practice mode, see which question they missed, which one they did not miss, okay, which again lends itself to some very targeted instruction, okay? However, this new tab is really nice. This is the big go-to right now. So if I am going to go into, I'm going to click on reserved tests. The reserved test, the only difference between the reserved tests and the regular ones, the reserved test is an accumulation of questions that the student has never seen before. Brand new, okay? So that's something new with this CASAS steps as well. So if I'm going to click on reserve tests and then say, I'm going to do reading level B, and I think Hercules is going to be my go-to guy. Maybe I want to see the competency area that Hercules is struggling with. I'm going to download a report and click on that. Oops, come on. There we go. So as you see here, we have, the description of the student in the class period, whatnot. We have this real pretty bar graph that shows, okay, he did really good. He got 66% in health, but boy, he's really struggling on his basic communication skills. If I scroll down a little bit further, here it narrows it down even further into my competency areas. Okay. So teachers are falling in love with this. They love it because they can run these report, take it, put it in the student's file or whatnot, and keep it for further reference. Okay. So that's what's nice. There's a group competency report as well, just like in the old Prepare for CASAS. Okay. But the rigor is so much more, and it's so much more aligned with the regular CASAS than the old Prepare for CASAS. Okay. Now, any questions about that? No? Okay. So now let me show you the best part. Okay. When in the fall, and nobody has to make any major decisions right now or ever really. If you want to stay with what you have, that's fine. But let me show you what this is going to look like in the fall if you choose to switch over. And they give us all these really weird demo accounts. I don't know why they can't just include everything in one account. It's crazy. And so now I'm a little bit limited. They're limiting me as to what I can show. So bear with me. So again, hypothetically speaking, it is going to be in the courses tile, the test practice. They're calling it test practice, but it's actually going to be called CASAS steps, okay, for the state of Kentucky. This is just a general term for now. The practice test will be there, but the test practice right here, they have their in-class lessons, okay? And look at that, is the toolbar. That's what Benny loves. Okay, so these are going to be the lessons that will go with that competency that that student will be struggling with, or struggling on, or needs a little more practice with. And there's also vocabulary practice, okay? And I don't know, somebody asked me, are there going to be any worksheets like in the old in-class lessons? I don't know about that yet. I haven't been told that tidbit of information, which would be phenomenal if they did. It'd be really nice. But yeah, and there will be all of these different levels, A, B, C, okay? So, yeah. So that was my spoiler alert for Benny. I was so happy she got on board today. Oh, so yeah, so if you have a chance to, think about it, and if you want to wait until the fall to be like, you know what, I think I'm just going to wait and switch over then, you can totally do that. Okay. All right. Okie doke. So I'm going to go back into my regular account now. Okay. All right. So with that being said, that is the CASAS, the CASAS steps. And if we want to explore that a little bit more, you totally can. The listening, I don't think I got a chance, I had a chance to show you that. The listening is really nice. And it really works on, it shows
Number
the
one.
different parts.
How many sisters does the man have? Tell me about your family.
There's 6 of us. Me, my 2 brothers, and my 3 sisters.
How many sisters does the man have? A. 3. B. 2. C. 6.
I was not listening very good. I think it was A. Yeah, okay, I did pretty good. Now, if I got that wrong, you can always click on the hint and it'll bring the words up and then they can read that. Okay, then they just move on to the next one. Okay,
Number 2.
all right. Now, if you want,
Number 3.
whoops, I'm going to stop that for a second. There are different sections. So as you can see here, 1 through 22 is the section where you will have to listen. Section number 23 is finish
Number
the
23.
conversation.
City Eye Clinic. How can I help you?
Do you do eye tests for a driver's license?
Yes, we do.
A. Can you call me later today? B. When can I come in? C. I need new glasses.
So I'm thinking I'm just going to purposely get one wrong. Okay. So then we can click on the hint. It brings up the questions. Okay. And check. And there we go. Okay. All right. Anything that anybody would like to see on that, or questions or comments or concerns? Heather, I see you logged in. How are you today? Oh, okay. All right. So I don't know, Benny, do you think you would want to make the switch? I know this is going to have to be a switch that your entire program will have to decide on. Because I can't, unfortunately. Oh, sorry. Okay, I see, Heather, your camera and microphone aren't working. Because unfortunately, I cannot have it just for Benny Braddock, or I can't have it just for, ones within. It has to be for the entire program. So if you want to wait until the fall, or just talk about it amongst your peers, then that's totally fine too. So. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, as far as how to assign a CASAS test, a prepare for CASAS test, let me show you that. So we're going to go into the teacher zone. We'll go into student management. And right here, we have control CASAS. And this is where, okay, like right here, you can see there's all these pre-tests waiting. And that was the one pre-test that dropped down when I clicked into Hercules account. But I can see he already has a pre-test waiting, but I'm going to overrule that and do a mid. I'm going to do a level C, reading and listening. And I want it for today. And this one, the earliest that I can assign it, my controls are in my way, is 4:15. Okay, so I will click OK. And so now when Hercules logs in, I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna go back and log in again as Hercules. He will have, or he should have, a drop-down menu. For the test. Okay. Okay, and it's not going to drop down yet because it's not quite 4:15, but it will be that drop down. He'll just click on it and then he can get started on that test right away. Okay. Now you're also going to see there's another tile right here on Hercules account that we talked about yesterday. When we were talking about the placement test, and I think so I can't remember. Yeah, we talked about a placement test and how to assign that to a student. So when you assign a placement test, like right here, Hercules, I clicked allocated, clicked on that. So now when he logs in, there's going to be a placement test. And that is strictly just to tell you where to place him within Burlington. Okay, and he has 15 minutes to complete that. He can start it, and then it will go, once he completes it, you'll be able to go back over here and see, okay, he belongs in basics. And that's where you can then place him by using the control menu. If you want him just in the basics courses, okay? I don't know, Benny, do you ever use the control menu or anything like that?
I use sometimes I use the control menu to hide books, particularly for lower level students, so that they don't have to, sometimes they open the wrong book
Right.
if there's a bunch of books. But I don't use the placement test because our classes are so large and they're placed by the school, and I can't have students in the same class in different books.
Right. Yeah, that's totally understandable. We were just talking about that yesterday, like, and I think
Yeah.
the placement test was basically designed during COVID.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know, so
Sure.
you know, but
It would be interesting. I mean, if you have a student, one way I could think of to use that is sometimes students will come to me and say, I really think I need to be in a lower level. And I'm thinking, okay, but your reading score was pretty high, right?
Yeah.
So I could just partly to not make them, but help them feel validated. have
Mhm.
them take one of those so that they can see, their results. And look, if they end up on the Burlington test placing lower than how they did on um,
Mhm.
their CASAS test, CASAS STEPS test, well, then maybe we can put them in a lower level class. And we do that. I mean, we move them down as long as it's not too far down, right?
Mhm. Right,
But
right.
it would be nice to sort of check that, because sometimes they just, you know, I don't know, sometimes students have a bad day and sometimes they have a good day when they're testing,
Yep.
and the
I was
test
just
doesn't always match their abilities.
exactly what I was gonna say. Could just be having a bad day and just scoring wrong. And
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Um, but I do have teachers that will use the control access, and that gets pretty fine-tuned. What that does is like right here, you can go into basics and you can lock which modules you want your
Hmm.
students to have access to. Now, with you, Benny, I mean, you have so many students to keep track of. I mean, that'd be a lot of
Yeah.
micromanaging, a
Yeah.
lot. Um,
Yeah.
but some teachers just really want them
Yeah.
to have that. So you can do that if need be,
If
but
I had time, I would do it with my lower level students, because it would save them a lot of confusion and
mhm.
frustration. But man, I just don't have time.
No, oh no, no. How many students do you have altogether, Benny? What you work with?
Total over 100.
Wow. Wow.
I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah, you're busy. You're busy.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, but yeah, so then the control classes, yeah, I walked you through that as far as how to reset that, how to look into the progress if need be. Um, but um, but yeah. Um, One other little thing that we didn't touch on yesterday, we talked about this top right-hand corner is the messaging tool. This is a kind of like an email built within Burlington. It does not go outside of the Burlington platform. I have several, believe it or not, I have several programs in Indiana that they use this as their main communication platform. That's what, they only use. Oh yeah, they do love sending messages to teachers. You're absolutely right, Heather. Yeah. And so in this program, this particular program, they got rid of their WhatsApp, they got rid of texting, everything. So their logic, the director's logic is, okay, students are required to check Burlington every day. They have to log in to see if they have a message. If they have a message, then they have to follow through with it. So they use that to announce if school's being canceled, if it's delayed or whatever. They have noticed that their students are logging in more, using Burlington more because of that. I thought, well, I never even really thought about that. And I said, boy, that's a good concept. That is a good concept. So the way this works is, as a teacher, okay, you can send a message to all of your students if you want to. There's a filter right here. You can search by name. You can do all. You can do a specific student, if you want to. But it looks just like an email, okay? And again, here's another thing, another piece of digital literacy that introduces your students to, forming a proper email. Okay. I had a program that I was helping them onboard students, which is my most favorite thing to do. So FYI, if you ever need help or want help onboarding students, I'm always available. And this one student came up and I was taking down their information and I said, well, what's your email? And it was something Maria Gucci pants hot lips or something like that. And I'm just like, wow. And so I'm thinking, but I followed up with the teacher in a few months after that. And I asked her, I said, so how's the email formation going on. She says, oh, listen, she says, we got rid of all of those inappropriate emails, email addresses. And I said, okay, good. So again, it teaches the students, you know, a proper email, not something that's not appropriate. And so I've learned so much by introducing this messaging tool. It's like, okay, this really helps their digital literacy. So again, you just put in your information, your subject matter, your message, and you can also add YouTube links. If you wanted to add a link for YouTube, worksheets, things like that, you can do, it's just like a regular copy link, just like in a regular email, okay? And let me just show you, let's see here, one that I sent. Oh, I'm just gonna click on this one. Maybe, yeah, okay. So like, for example, here, I put in homework, okay? So when the student logs into that, this worksheet is going to come up. So it's going to take them directly to the worksheet that we did in class. And you can also assign them the student lessons, okay? Now, careful though, do not assign them, do not give them the teacher in class lessons, because then you're going to get a message back from your students say, teacher, I can't get in. It's because they don't have access to that, okay? So these are really handy. So I'll show you this. And so right up here, this is what the student will see. They'll have a little notification up there by that envelope. And then they just click on the message. And they'll say, okay, here's the student lesson for you to work on this week. And they click on that, it will take them directly to the student lesson that they need to complete for that week. And it's just really nice. It's a handy little tool. Okay. So now they just need to add an annotation bar to the messaging tool. I don't know if that would even be a thing, but anyways. So, okay, wonderful. Okay, so Heather, you're saying that the students that you have worked with in the past still preferred to text and still communicate. Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so how do you create the link for the messages? Okay, let's walk through that. That's a great question. Okay, so let's go back here. I'm going to go back like as if I'm going to create a new message. So I'm going to send it to all of my students. And homework, okay. Let me go in and okay. I'm gonna close out some of my tabs. I'm notorious for having my tabs open. Now, the only thing is, and I just remembered this, when you create a link, you're going to want to either have another browser open, and open it up that way, or because if you have to close out of your messaging tool, you're going to have to log back in again. So it's easier to have that link already copied. So say, for example, I want to copy this student lesson link. Okay. I'll just copy that. I'm going to go back to a different browser where my messaging tool was open. All right. And then I'm going to put in there homework for this week. All right. And oh, they added that. My Google Assistant is coming on here. I don't know why it's doing that. Highlight, click, and then you can enter the link and paste. And there we go. So homework for this week. And then once you send that, it'll be right in your students. Oops, I need to put in my student's name. And then off it goes. Okay. So, yeah, you can have two tabs open. Yeah, you definitely can, because Burlington works in Edge and Chrome. So a lot of times I'll have a student account, like when I'm doing presentations or whatever, I'll have a student account open in Edge, and then I can flip back and forth between Edge and Chrome. You most definitely can. Yep. So, okay. All right. Well, I think I said yet today that it is going to be kind of a short one because I mainly wanted to cover the CASAS, the module tests. And if anybody has any questions about that, like I said, yesterday we were talking about progress and the importance of tracking your students' progress. And that's why they keep adding these new things for module tests and things like that, just to help to, monitor your students' progress and keeping them on track, okay? And so again, when you do check your students' progress, what I would probably do, the easiest way is to go up here to this squiggly line right here instead of going into each individual level. Because like with you, Benny, you have so many students, it would be hard to remember which level they're in. So just go to the one universal progress tab and you can choose, hey, I want to see progress on student lessons. I want to see progress on tests. Or you can see progress in everything if you want, and it will break everything down. Okay, if you want to do that. But just remember that the time that you see in progress, we discussed this yesterday, the time that you see in progress is not going to be the same time that you're going to see in the reports tab, because it's two completely different reports. Okay. So, okay. All right, well, this was an easy crew. Not very many questions. So Benny, can you give some insight on what's some of your favorite things that you like to use with Burlington? I know you love the grammar lessons and the lesson plans.
Well, I'm not sure. I use the core, and we do, we do all the lessons, not,
Well,
uh,
one
um,
thing that sticks out in my mind that you mentioned to me one time, Benny, and I always use this. See, I tell you, I'm always learning from you. I'm just going to, actually, I'm going to go up to advanced because I've been in high beginner for the longest time. In the lesson plans, say I am going to be doing a lesson in grammar, okay? And let's see, let's do this one, grammar review of tenses, okay? This lesson plan, I don't even think I brought a lesson plan up yesterday, to be honest. But this lesson plan, what's nice about this is right here, it gives a description. It helps, it's a great review for me as a teacher because I got to thinking about this. I used to teach math. I forgot how to teach simple present and present continuous. And it doesn't go like way down deep into the rabbit hole. It's enough to be able to help you as a teacher to explain that. Okay. And these lesson plans are really nice too. When I was teaching in corrections, I didn't have any type of, I didn't have computers, I didn't have internet, but I was able to run off a copy of these lesson plans, and I was still able to use a lot of these whole class activities. I was able to write these out on the board or, so I was still able to use bits and pieces and the worksheets. So this basically just breaks everything down, which is already laid out for you within the in-class lesson. But again, if you don't have access to the in-class lesson, you can definitely teach from these lesson plans. And then it also gives you some expansion ideas that you can do with your students to expand on what you were working on. Okay, so the grammar is phenomenal. So.
Right, I remember now, because it's been a while since we had that conversation.
Mhm.
I do think the lesson plans have a lot more information about the grammar than the in-class lessons for the teacher, so that you can get everything straight in your head and get a little bit more ideas about how to introduce it, because grammar is so boring, it's really hard to make it very interesting. So they've got some good ideas
Mhm.
in the lesson plans.
Exactly. Exactly right. And we also have the grammar supplement. That is a nice, another nice resource to have, in case you don't have enough grammar. And that is located at the very, very bottom of all of these, right down here at the bottom, a grammar supplement. It's not as extensive of a lesson, but again, so if you wanted to do a little bit more on present simple and present continuous, it's basically just going to give you a grammar rule, but there are some good worksheets that accompany that. Okay, look at all this grammar. I mean, there's so much. And so that's why I really encourage programs. If you have lower level GED students, this is perfect. Okay, I use this with a lot of my guys in the prison too, just to, because they really needed that extra comprehension or extra grammar or how to write an essay. Okay, we have a lot of things here on how to write an essay. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was reading your mind, Heather. Reading your mind. And speaking of lower level GED students, and I don't know, Benny and Heather, if y'all have this. I think I gave it to you guys, but do you have Everyday English 1, 2, 3, Advanced English 1 and 2? Okay, Heather, you do? Okay. Those are really good too for your lower level GED, higher level ESL, bridging into your GED courses. So let me just bump into one of these real quick here. These do not have the in-class lessons, as y'all already know, but they are categorized in reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Okay. And so here, we have getting ready to write, and it gives some really good strategy. That's what I loved about this. And this is what I used to teach with before they came out with everything else in Burlington. And the strategies are just wonderful. And again, worksheets. Worksheets are just really good with this as well. So there's all kinds of resources that you can always tap into. Okay. And this brings back so many memories. It was so hard to teach my guys how to write an essay, just 4 paragraphs. Okay. Just 4 paragraphs. Oh, you only have the advanced. You don't have Everyday English 1, 2, 3. Okay. I will get those for you, Heather. I will get those for you. Oh, really? You know what happens with that is, then the reason why it goes away, whenever we renew the state's contract, I have to start a new contract, and for some reason I have to have those all reloaded onto, so I just need to make a mental note to have them all added every July 1st or whenever we renew your seats. So I'll get those for you. I'll have them in your accounts by tomorrow evening, tops. Okay. So great. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, I am going to be in Kentucky next Wednesday at the summit. And hopefully I see everybody's faces. I don't know, Benny, if you're going to be there, Heather, but Rita and Joe and Vicky, I'm assuming y'all are going to be there. So I'm going to be popping in,
What
seeing
summit?
everybody. So
What summit?
it's the well, what's it called?
My
My
Story Reimagined.
Hmm.
Yeah, on Wednesday in Louisville next week.
Oh.
So, okay. And again, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please feel free to reach out.
Okay.
So hopefully this was helpful and we'll just keep killing on. But
Thank you
give
so
it-
much.
Give that CASA steps some thought. So if you want to switch over in the fall, we can do that. Okay.
Thank you so much, Laura.
My pleasure. Anytime, anytime. Y'all have a great night and I'll see you next week.